Perhaps President Trump is serious this time. He stopped short before, but on Tuesday, he's set to impose 25% tariffs on products imported from Canada and Mexico, two of our country's largest trade partners.
He wants those countries to stop drug trafficking. Valley economist Jim Rounds with Rounds Consulting Group is joining us live on Arizona's Morning News. So, Jim, what do these tariffs mean for us here in Arizona? Which of our favorite products is going to cost us more?
So you're going to be paying more for food, obviously, the imports from Mexico, but lumber costs are going to be going up. That's going to impact the price of housing. You're going to see plastics prices go up. You're going to see some electrical components from Mexico that might go into automobiles. And so pretty much when you're dealing with Canada and Mexico, you're dealing with a lot of different goods that we import. When you deal with China, it's pretty much, everything across the board that is fairly cheap, and then some technical, high-tech things like phones that aren't cheap but require cheaper labor than what we can provide here.
And, of course, President Trump is threatening to boost tariffs on China up to 20%. So are we seeing indications of higher inflation and weaker markets with all the president's threats that may come true on Tuesday?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is inflation has been held in check. That's been the story. That just means that it's not going up that much, but our price level is still as high as it was when it was going up by 10% a year. We haven't had deflation yet, and we may not for a while, so we're already paying higher prices, and this would push it up even further, which is why the tariffs being increased now is just very bad timing.
Now, I do want to talk about Mexico because it extradited 29 suspected drug lords to the U.S. They're going to face criminal prosecution here. Is that really what the president is after? I mean, if these tariffs are meant to do something, what are they meant to do?
So, we talked about before, when you have a tariff war, it's not, if you think of it like a battle, it's not two armies battling each other. It's two armies standing on the opposite sides of the field, and then they just start smacking each other over the head because you're punishing the people in the country that begins the tariff. So if we impose a tariff on Mexico, it's people in the U.S. that will be paying the higher prices. I think that there's some legitimacy to the fentanyl issue. That's really bad. I think that the number one item is they're shooting for trying to reduce costs and collect extra revenue to get that $4.6 trillion over a decade to extend the previous tax cuts that would expire. So they're looking to find ways of getting extra revenue. And the tariff is a way, because we're paying the tax, it's just we're paying it. It's almost a way of imposing, say, a sales tax on the U.S. economy. In the long term, it could have some business benefits, but in the short term, it'll just generate some extra revenue. But that's not going to get you to the $500 billion a year either.
So, again, as President Trump has been threatening to impose tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, which could start this Tuesday, the markets get nervous every time they hear that. But so if the drug lords are now back in this country, extradited here to face criminal charges here in this country, could that kind of bring some relief to the markets from an economic standpoint?
See, that's a good point. You hit the nail on the head when you said consistency. When people feel that there's consistently good news, mediocre news, whatever it is, there's some comfort in knowing that there isn't some wild card out there. The problem we have right now is I don't think anything would really shock us anymore if somebody did something in politics. But at the same time, we live in a period where there's a high likelihood of something unusual happening. So are we somewhat desensitized to it, or is it going to be a situation where the economic data is fairly consistent? It's just kind of slow and steady right now, but it's the politics that are moving things up and down. So like you said, I think that there could be some extra comfort in knowing that we're doing certain things related to drugs. But then there's more uncertainty related to the tariff issue, who's going to be imposed on, and then a number of other things like Medicaid cuts and all sorts of other economic items that could impact the state and the states across the nation as a whole.
Valley economist Jim Rounds with Rounds Consulting Group joining us here on Arizona's Morning News. Thank you so much for your time. You know, tomatoes, we bring millions of pounds of tomatoes in every year. Your peppers, your grapes, a lot of produce from Mexico.
All the food staples.
Yeah, so you're looking at a lot of upward pressure at the grocery store where we're already paying a lot.
Yeah.
You know, thanks to the eggs and the beef, and it's a lot for consumers to have to handle.
And it's just out of control, too. There's no end in sight to any of this. And, hopefully, if the tariffs don't go into effect this coming Tuesday, maybe, that could keep things at bay for just a little while longer.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.